My name is Omar Haddad, and I have lived my entire life in service to Allah. I am 43 years old, a structural engineer by profession, though that fact now seems like some cruel joke from a God I thought I understood. For 20 years I have designed buildings, calculated loads, ensured that steel and concrete could withstand the forces of nature. I have built my career on the mathematics of safety, on the precision of my craft. I was proud of this work. I was proud of many things. I live in Gaziantep in the southern region of Turkey, not far from the Syrian border. This city has seen much in recent years. Refugees have poured across the border by the hundreds of thousands, fleeing the war that has consumed Syria like a fire consuming dry grass. Our city has swelled with their presence, and with them have come the aid organizations, the relief workers, the Christians with their crosses and their soft voices speaking of Jesus. I have watched them distribute their food and their blankets, always with that look in their eyes, that pitying expression that suggests they have something we lack. It has always angered me, this presumption of theirs. I am a devout man. 5 times each day I answer the call to prayer. I wake before dawn for Fajr, washing my face and hands and feet in the ritual ablution. Feeling the cold water remind me of my duty. The mosque is a 10-minute walk from our apartment building, and I go there in the darkness, my breath visible in the winter air. The Imam's voice echoes through the space as we stand shoulder to shoulder, bowing and prostrating, reciting the words I have known since childhood. There is order in this structure, a foundation as solid as the concrete I work with every day. Islam has given me everything. It has given me discipline, purpose, community. It has given me my wife Amira. May Allah bless her memory, though she was taken from us 3 years ago by the cancer that ate through her body despite all our prayers. And Islam has given me my daughter. Layla is 6 years old, the light of my life, the reason I continue even after losing Amira. She has her mother's eyes, dark and bright and full of questions. She is a curious child, always asking why, always wanting to understand. I am perhaps too strict with her. I know this. My sisters tell me I should be gentler, that she is only a child, that she needs more than just rules and expectations. But I am her only parent now, and I must be both father and mother to her. I must ensure she grows up properly, that she understands her faith, that she becomes a good Muslim woman who will make her mother proud in paradise. Every morning I wake Layla for school. I prepare her breakfast, usually bread and cheese and olives, sometimes eggs if we have them. I braid her hair, though I am clumsy at it, and she often corrects me, her small hands guiding mine. I walk her to the school, which is only 3 blocks away, and I watch her join the other children in the courtyard. She always turns back to wave at me before going inside. That wave, that small hand moving back and forth, it is the image I carry with me through every day. My work is demanding. I am currently overseeing the construction of a new hospital complex on the eastern side of the city. The project is behind schedule, over budget, plagued by the usual problems of contractors cutting corners and suppliers delivering substandard materials. I spend my days on site, checking measurements, reviewing plans, arguing with foremen who want to take shortcuts I cannot allow. Safety is not negotiable. I have said this 1,000 times. A building must be able to withstand the stresses placed upon it. The ground beneath us is not stable. This is an earthquake zone, everyone knows this. We have building codes for a reason. We have standards that must be met. But I have seen how things are actually done. I have seen the bribes, the falsified inspections, the inferior rebar hidden inside concrete walls. I have reported these violations. I have made enemies because of it. My supervisor has told me more than once to be less rigid, to understand that in the real world compromises must be made. I have refused. I have told him that Allah sees all things, that we will answer for our actions. He has laughed at this. He is not a religious man. My own apartment building is 12 stories tall, built in the 1990s, supposedly to code, though I have my doubts. I live on the 8th floor, Unit 8C. It is a modest apartment, 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room with a balcony that overlooks the street. Layla's bedroom is decorated with drawings she has made taped to the walls. She likes to draw flowers and houses and families. In many of her drawings there are 3 figures, and when I ask her who they are, she says it is me, her and her mother watching from heaven. This breaks my heart every time. In the evenings after I collect Layla from school, we return home and I help her with her homework. Then I prepare dinner, usually simple things because I am not a skilled cook. Amira was the cook in our family. She could make ordinary ingredients taste like paradise. I do my best. Layla never complains. After dinner, we watch television for a little while, or I read to her from the books she brings home from school. Then it is time for Maghrib prayer, and I pray while she plays quietly in her room. After Isha, the final prayer of the day, I put her to bed. This has been our routine for 3 years now, since Amira died. It is a good routine. It is stable. It provides structure for both of us. I have noticed the Christian relief workers more frequently in recent months. They have set up a distribution center only 4 blocks from our apartment. I pass it sometimes on my way to the mosque. They give out food packages, winter clothing, medical supplies. They serve everyone, Muslim and Christian alike, refugee and citizen, without distinction. I have heard people in the neighborhood speak well of them, praising their generosity. This troubles me. They are doing this to convert people, I am certain of it. They want to use people's suffering to turn them away from Islam. I have warned Layla about them. I have told her that we do not accept anything from these people, that we do not need their help, that Allah provides for those who trust in Him. One of my colleagues at work, a man named Mehmet, has become friendly with some of these Christians. He has even attended some kind of meeting they hold, what they call a Bible study. When I learned of this, I confronted him. I asked him how he could betray his faith in this way. He told me he was just curious, that they were kind people, that I was being too judgmental. I told him that curiosity is how the devil works, that he was placing his soul in danger. We have not spoken much since then. I am not a hateful man. I want to be clear about this. I do not hate Christians as people, but I hate what they represent. I hate their arrogance, their belief that they alone have the truth, their missionary zeal that has caused so much conflict in the world, the Crusades, the colonization, the constant attacks on Islam in the Western media. They speak of peace and love, but their history is written in blood. And now they come to our city, to our Muslim lands, with their charity that is really just bribery for souls. It angers me. It has always angered me. The night of February 5th was cold. Winter in Gaziantep can be harsh, and this year had been especially so. Snow had fallen earlier in the week, unusual for our region, and the streets were still slushed with the remnants of it. I had worked late that day, dealing with yet another crisis at the hospital site. A delivery of concrete had been rejected because it did not meet specifications. The contractor was furious with me, claiming I was costing him money, that the concrete was fine, that no one else was as rigid as I was. I stood my ground. I told him to bring me concrete that meets the standards, or I would shut down the project entirely. I arrived home after dark, tired and frustrated. Layla was waiting for me. My sister Fatima had been watching her, as she does several days a week. Fatima left soon after I arrived, though not before reminding me again that Layla needed more joy in her life, that I was raising her in too serious an environment. I thanked her for watching Layla and did not argue. There is no point arguing with Fatima. She has her opinions and I have mine. I prepared a simple dinner for Layla and myself. Lentil soup, which I had made the night before and only needed to reheat. Bread from the bakery down the street. We ate together at the small table in the kitchen. Layla told me about her day at school, about a game they had played during recess, about a boy who had pushed her and how she had pushed him back. I corrected her gently, reminding her that a proper young lady does not push, that she should tell the teacher instead. She nodded, but I could see in her eyes she did not fully agree. After dinner, I washed the dishes while Layla did her homework at the table. She was working on mathematics, addition and subtraction problems that seemed too easy for her. She is bright, my daughter. She finishes quickly and accurately. I checked her work and found no errors. I kissed the top of her head and told her she had done well. We watched a television program together, some cartoon she enjoys about talking animals. I did not pay much attention. I was thinking about work, about the problems I would face tomorrow. The television was simply noise, a way to spend time with my daughter before bed. At 8 o'clock, I told Layla it was time to get ready for bed. She protested, as she always does, asking for just 5 more minutes, then 10, then please just let her finish this one episode. I was firm. Bedtime is bedtime. Structure and discipline. She went to brush her teeth and put on her pajamas, a pink set with cartoon rabbits on them that my sister had bought for her. I tucked her into bed, pulling the blankets up to her chin. The apartment was cold. The heating in the building has never worked properly, and the landlord refuses to fix it adequately. I had placed an extra blanket on her bed earlier in the day. She looked up at me with those eyes, Amira's eyes, and asked me to tell her a story. I told her it was late, that she needed to sleep. She asked again. She said please, in that way children do, stretching the word out, making it impossible to refuse. So I told her a story. I told her about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his night journey to Jerusalem and his ascension to heaven. I told her how the angel Gabriel came to him with a miraculous horse, how they flew through the night sky, how the Prophet prayed at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and then ascended through the 7 heavens, meeting the prophets who came before him. I told her how he spoke with Abraham and Moses and Jesus. Yes, even Jesus, though I explained that Jesus was only a prophet, not the Son of God as the Christians mistakenly believe. I told her how the Prophet came into the presence of Allah himself, how he was given the command that Muslims should pray 50 times a day, and how Moses advised him to ask for a reduction because 50 prayers would be too difficult for his followers. I told her how the requirement was reduced again and again until it reached 5 prayers, the 5 prayers we observe every day. Layla listened with wide eyes. When I finished, she asked me if I had ever seen an angel. I told her no, that angels appear only to prophets and to special people chosen by Allah. She asked me if Mama could see angels in heaven. I told her yes, that in paradise your mother can see all the beautiful things that Allah has created, including the angels. This seemed to satisfy her. I kissed her forehead and told her to sleep. I turned off the lamp beside her bed and walked to the door. She called out to me as I was leaving, saying, "Baba, I love you." I told her I loved her too. I told her to say her prayers. I pulled her door mostly closed, leaving it open just a crack so a sliver of light from the hallway could come through. She does not like complete darkness. I performed my Isha prayer in the living room, facing east toward Mecca. The familiar movements, the familiar words. There is comfort in ritual. There is certainty. When I finished, I sat on the couch for a while, checking my phone for messages, reading the news. More violence in Syria. Political tensions in Ankara. An article about earthquake preparedness that I skimmed through without much interest. We have not had a major earthquake in this region for many years. The scientists say we are overdue for one, that the fault lines beneath us are under tremendous stress. But scientists are always saying such things. We cannot live our lives in fear of what might happen. The city outside my window was quiet. The street below was mostly empty. A few cars passed. I could see lights in the windows of other apartments in the buildings nearby. Normal life, ordinary life. Everything as it should be. I went to check on Layla one more time before going to bed myself. She was asleep, her breathing soft and steady. Her small hand was curled against her cheek. She looked peaceful. She looked like her mother. I watched her for a moment, feeling the weight of responsibility that never leaves me. This child depends on me for everything. I must protect her, guide her, raise her to be strong and faithful. I must not fail her, as I feel I failed Amira, whose illness I could not cure no matter how much I prayed. I went to my own bedroom and prepared for sleep. I set my alarm for 5 in the morning for Fajr prayer. I climbed into bed. The sheets were cold. The apartment was cold. I pulled the blankets over me and closed my eyes. I do not know what time it was when the earthquake started. I had been sleeping, dreaming something I cannot now remember. The first sensation was sound. A low rumbling, distant at first like thunder or like a heavy truck passing on the street below. But it grew louder. It grew louder very quickly. And then the building began to move. I opened my eyes in darkness. The rumbling was now a roar, a deep, terrible sound, like the earth itself was tearing open. The bed beneath me was shaking. No, not shaking. Shaking is too mild a word. The bed was lurching, bucking like a living thing trying to throw me off. I heard things falling in other rooms. Glass breaking. The building was groaning, the sound of stressed concrete and metal, sounds I recognized from my work but had never imagined hearing in my own home. I threw off the blankets and tried to stand, but the floor heaved beneath me and I fell. I crawled toward the door, toward Layla's room. The roaring was so loud now I could not think. I could not hear anything else. The walls were moving. I could see cracks appearing in the plaster, dark lines racing up toward the ceiling. The floor was tilting. How was the floor tilting? I reached the hallway and pulled myself up using the wall. I staggered toward Layla's room. I could hear her screaming now, screaming for me, "Baba, Baba!" I pushed her door open. In the dim light from the window, I could see her sitting up in bed, her face white with terror. I lunged toward her. I grabbed her and pulled her against me, wrapping my arms around her small body. She was shaking. Or I was shaking. Or the whole world was shaking. The sound was unbelievable. It was the sound of the apocalypse. It was the sound of Judgment Day. I heard the building next to ours collapse, a tremendous crash that I felt through the floor. I heard car alarms going off in the street below. I heard people screaming in other apartments. And underneath it all, underneath every other sound, was that deep rumbling roar, like a massive train bearing down on us, like the earth had become a predator and we were its prey. I threw myself over Layla, covering her with my body. I pulled us both down into the space between her bed and the wall, the smallest shelter I could find. She was crying, screaming for me, and I was telling her I had her, it would be okay, though I did not believe this. I did not believe we would survive. The walls around us were cracking, chunks of plaster falling. I could feel the floor moving beneath us, rolling like water. This was not possible. Floors do not move like this, but it was happening. It was happening to us. And then there was a sound like the whole world breaking, like every bone in God's body snapping at once. I felt the floor drop. We were falling. The building was collapsing. I held Layla tighter, crushing her against me, trying to be a shield for her with my own body. I thought of Amira. I thought we would see her soon. I thought this was the end. We fell. The sensation was impossible to describe. We fell but in darkness, surrounded by the scream of tearing metal and breaking concrete. Things hit me. Heavy things. I felt pain in my back, my shoulder, my leg, but I held on to Layla. I did not let go of her. No matter what happened, I would not let go. Then we stopped. The falling stopped. But the roaring continued, the sound of the building destroying itself around us, above us. I realized we were being buried. I could feel weight pressing down. More weight, more and more weight. I tried to curl tighter around Layla to create a space for her, a pocket of air. Something massive crashed down on my back and I screamed. The pain was beyond anything I had ever felt, but still I held on to her. And then finally, silence. Or not silence exactly, but the absence of that terrible roar. There were still sounds. Creaking, groaning, small crashes as pieces continued to settle. Distant sounds that might have been voices or sirens or my imagination. But the earthquake itself had stopped. We had stopped falling. We had stopped moving. We were in complete darkness. I could not see anything, not even my hand in front of my face. The blackness was total and absolute. I could feel Layla beneath me, against me, her small body trembling. I could feel her chest rising and falling. She was breathing. She was alive. Thank Allah, she was alive. I tried to move and gasped at the pain. Something was on top of me, pinning me down. I could not see what it was. I could not move it. I tried to shift to the side, but there was no room. We were in a tiny space, a pocket surrounded by rubble. I could feel concrete against my left side, something sharp against my right leg. Dust was everywhere, in my mouth, in my nose, in my lungs. I coughed and tasted blood. Layla, I whispered. My voice sounded strange in the darkness, muffled and close. Layla, can you hear me? Baba. Her voice was tiny, terrified. Baba, I'm scared. I know, my darling, I know, but I have you. I'm here. I will not leave you. What happened? Where are we? There was an earthquake. The building fell. But we are alive. We are together. That is what matters. She started to cry. Not the screaming cry from before, but a quieter sobbing, the sound of a child who has reached the limits of fear and found something beyond it. I wanted to comfort her, but I could not move. I could barely breathe. The weight on top of me was crushing. And the darkness. The darkness was like being blind, like being already buried in a grave. I did not know then that we would be in this darkness for days. I did not know that no one would find us, that no rescue would come. I did not know that I would watch my daughter suffer beyond what any child should suffer. I did not know that everything I believed about God and faith and the nature of reality would be shaken as thoroughly as the earth had been shaken. All I knew in that moment was that we were alive. We were trapped beneath tons of rubble, buried alive in our own building, in what had been our home. But we were breathing. Our hearts were still beating. I prayed. I began reciting every prayer I knew, every verse of the Quran I had memorized. I prayed to Allah to save us, to send rescuers, to give us strength. I prayed with all the faith I had spent my entire life cultivating. I prayed into the darkness and the darkness did not answer. I do not know how long I was unconscious. Time had no meaning in that darkness. When awareness returned to me, it came slowly, like surfacing from deep water. There was pain first, pain everywhere. My back felt like it had been crushed under a hydraulic press. My right leg was screaming, a hot white agony that made me want to vomit. My head throbbed with each heartbeat, but underneath all of this was something worse than pain. It was the sensation of weight, of being pressed down, of being held in place by forces I could not fight. I opened my eyes and saw nothing. The darkness was complete. I blinked again and again, thinking perhaps my eyes were not functioning properly, that the impact had damaged them somehow. But no, this was simply the absence of all light. This was what it means to be buried alive, to be sealed away from the sun and the sky and every source of illumination that human beings take for granted. This was the darkness of a tomb. I tried to move and gasped. Something massive was lying across my back, pinning me down. I could not lift myself even an inch. I was lying on my side, or partially on my side. My body twisted at an angle that sent spasms of pain through my spine with every breath. My left arm was trapped beneath me, already numb and tingling. My right arm was free, but when I tried to reach up, I immediately encountered concrete, a flat surface just above my head. I could not extend my arm fully. The ceiling, if that is what it was perhaps 12 inches from my face. Then I remembered. Layla, my daughter. I had been covering her when the building fell. I had been trying to protect her with my own body. Layla. My voice came out as a croak, barely recognizable. My throat was raw, clogged with dust. Layla, can you hear me? Silence. Complete silence. My heart began to race, panic flooding through me like ice water in my veins. Layla, I shouted or tried to shout. The sound was muffled, absorbed immediately by the rubble surrounding us. Layla, answer me, please, baby, please answer me. I waited. The seconds stretched out, each one an eternity. I could hear my own breathing, harsh and ragged. I could hear the creaking of stressed materials somewhere above or around us. I could hear a distant sound that might have been water dripping or might have been my imagination, but I could not hear my daughter. Layla, please, please say something. Move your hand, make any sound. Please, I am begging you. I was crying now, tears cutting tracks through the dust on my face. Allah, please, do not take her from me. Take me, but leave her, please, please. Then I felt it. A small movement against my chest, a shifting. And then a tiny voice, so quiet I almost missed it. Baba? Relief hit me so powerfully that I sobbed. Yes, yes, my darling, I am here. Are you hurt? I cannot move. Something is on top of me. Baba, I cannot move. It is me, I am on top of you, I am protecting you. It hurts. You are too heavy. I know. I'm sorry, but I cannot move. There is something on top of me too. Can you breathe? Are you able to breathe? Yes, but it smells bad. The air smells bad. She was right. The air was thick with dust, with the smell of pulverized concrete and something else. Something sharp and chemical that I recognized as gas. A line had ruptured somewhere. We were breathing in dust and gas and who knows what other toxic materials. Every breath felt like inhaling ground glass. Try to breathe slowly, I told her. Through your nose if you can. Small breaths. Where are we? We are still in the building, under the building. There was an earthquake, do you remember? The shaking, everything was shaking. Yes, the building fell down, but we are alive. We are together. That is what matters. I want to get out. I want to go outside. I know, we will. People will come to rescue us. We just have to wait. When will they come? Soon. Very soon. I was lying. I had no idea when anyone would come or if anyone would come at all. I am a structural engineer. I knew exactly how much rubble was likely piled on top of us. Our building had been 12 stories tall. If it had pancaked, if each floor had collapsed onto the one below in sequence, we were beneath thousands of tons of concrete and steel. The earthquake had struck in the middle of the night. How many other buildings had collapsed? How many people were trapped like we were? How many rescue workers were even available? But I could not tell my 6-year-old daughter any of this. I could not tell her that we might die here in this darkness, that we might suffocate or die of thirst or be crushed if the rubble shifted. I had to give her hope. I had to keep her calm. Tell me a story, Baba. A story? Now? I'm scared. When I am scared, stories help. My mind was blank. I could not think of stories. I could only think of pain and darkness and the terrible weight pressing down on me. But she needed this. She needed something to distract her from the nightmare we were living. All right, I said, let me think. Do you remember the story of Yunus? The prophet Jonah? The one who was swallowed by the whale? Yes, that one. Yunus was a prophet sent by Allah to warn his people to change their ways. But when they did not listen to him, Yunus became angry and frustrated. He left them and boarded a ship to sail away. But Allah sent a storm. The people on the ship decided someone must be thrown overboard to calm the seas, and Yunus volunteered. He was thrown into the water and a great whale swallowed him whole. Like we are swallowed by the building? The comparison chilled me, but she was not wrong. Yes, like that. Yunus was in the belly of the whale in complete darkness, just like we are in darkness now. And he was afraid. But he prayed. He prayed to Allah saying, there is no God but you, glory be to you, I was indeed wrong. And Allah heard his prayer and commanded the whale to release him onto the shore safe and alive. Will Allah make the building release us? Yes. Yes, my darling. We must pray like Yunus prayed. We must have faith. I am thirsty, Baba. Already. The thirst was starting already. Of course it was. We had been buried for hours, I thought, though I had no way to know for certain. And we had been breathing this dust-laden air, coating our mouths and throats with grit. I know I'm thirsty too, but we have no water right now. We must wait. My mouth hurts. I know. Can you get me water? I cannot move, Layla. I am sorry. When the rescuers come, they will bring water, cold, clean water, as much as you want. She began to cry. Not the panicked screaming from when the earthquake hit, but a quieter, more desperate crying. The crying of suffering. It broke my heart. I had failed her. I had failed to protect her. She was trapped and in pain and thirsty, and there was nothing I could do. Sing to me, Baba. like Mama used to. Amira had sung to Layla every night before bed, lullabies, old songs from her own childhood, sometimes just melodies she made up. I had no singing voice. Amira had always teased me about this. But Layla was asking. I sang. I sang a song about the moon and the stars, about a child sleeping safely while the whole world watched over her. My voice was cracked and awful in that confined space, but I sang anyway. Layla grew quiet, listening. When I finished, she asked me to sing it again, so I did. Then again. I sang until my throat was too raw to continue, and then I just hummed the melody. Time passed. I do not know how much time. Hours, certainly. The pain in my back had gone from sharp to a constant burning ache. My trapped left arm had no feeling in it at all. I worried that the blood flow was cut off, that I would lose the arm if we ever got out. If we got out, that thought kept creeping in. If. I tried to shift the weight on my back, but it was impossible. Whatever was pinning me down was immovable. I could only lie there, feeling the pressure, feeling my own body being slowly crushed. Layla asked for water again, and again. Her voice was getting weaker, raspier. I tried to produce saliva to wet her lips as I had thought to do, but my own mouth was completely dry. There was nothing. My tongue felt swollen, rough like sandpaper. Swallowing was painful. Each breath dried my throat further. Baba, it hurts so much, my throat hurts. I know, my love, mine too. Try not to talk, talking makes it worse. But I am scared when it is quiet. So I talked instead. I told her about her mother, about how Amira and I had met, about our wedding day, about the day Layla was born. I told her about the first time I held her, how tiny she was, how perfect, how I had made a promise to Allah that I would always protect her and keep her safe. Even as I said these words, I felt the bitter irony of them. I had failed that promise. We were buried alive because I had failed. I prayed. I began to recite the prayers I had memorized since childhood. Ayat al-Kursi, the throne verse. Al-Fatiha, the opening. I recited them over and over, finding comfort in the familiar words, in the structure and rhythm of them. Layla joined me when she could, her small voice echoing mine in the darkness. More time passed. I tried to keep track of it, but it was impossible. There were no markers, no reference points, only darkness and pain and thirst. The thirst was becoming unbearable. It was no longer just discomfort. It was agony. My throat felt like it was lined with broken glass. Every swallow, every breath was torture. Layla had stopped asking for water. This frightened me more than her asking. She was becoming weak. I could feel it in how still she was beneath me, in how quiet her breathing had become. Layla, talk to me. Tell me about school. Tell me about your friends. She did not answer for a long moment. Then, I am too tired, Baba. I know you are tired, but you must stay awake. Talk to me, please. I want Mama. Mama is watching over us. From paradise, she's watching. She's praying for us. Will we see her soon? The question terrified me. No, we will not see her for many years. We are going to get out of here. People are coming to rescue us. I do not hear anyone. I listened. She was right. There were no sounds of rescue. No voices, no digging, no heavy machinery. There was only silence and the occasional creak of settling rubble. How long had we been here? A day? More? Why had no one found us yet? I began to shout. I screamed for help, screamed until my ruined throat gave out and I could only produce a harsh whisper. I waited for a response. Nothing. I screamed again and again. My voice echoed strangely in our tiny prison and then was swallowed by the surrounding concrete. No one answered. The truth began to settle over me like the rubble had settled over our bodies. We were too deep. We were buried too far down for anyone to hear us. Or perhaps the rescuers were overwhelmed, dealing with thousands of other victims. Or perhaps they had already searched this building and moved on, thinking everyone was dead. Perhaps we had been forgotten. Perhaps we would die here in this darkness and no one would ever know. I prayed again. I prayed to Allah with every particle of faith I possessed. I begged Him to save us, to save my daughter. I reminded Him of my devotion, of my faithful prayers, of how I had lived my life according to His laws. I bargained. I promised anything, everything, if He would only send someone to rescue us. I called out the adhan, the call to prayer. My voice was barely a whisper now, but I recited the ancient words. Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. I declare that there is no God but Allah. I declare that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Come to prayer. Come to success. God is the greatest. There is no God but Allah. The words disappeared into the darkness. They brought no comfort. They brought no response. There was only silence. I had never felt abandoned by Allah before. I had always believed that He heard every prayer, that He was always watching, always present. But in that moment, buried alive beneath tons of concrete, I felt nothing. No presence, no comfort. Only emptiness. The darkness pressed in on all sides. The air grew more stale. The thirst became everything, consuming every thought. Layla was barely conscious beneath me. I could feel her heart beating against my chest, too fast, too weak. She was dying. My daughter was dying, and I could do nothing to stop it. This was the grave. This was what death felt like. Slow, suffocating, hopeless. We were already dead. We just had not finished dying yet. The darkness has a sound, a taste, a weight. By now all reality folds into pain and aching thirst. My body is stiff and broken. The concrete slab above me as cold and unforgiving as winter stone. I cannot move. I cannot see. The air is thick with dust and a bitter tang of leaking gas. Each breath another wound, each swallow like knives in my throat. My skin is gritty. My lips are cracked, bleeding. Layla barely stirs beneath my arm. I do not know how much time has passed. There is only the ticking of my heart, each beat slower, heavier. At first I tried to speak to Layla, but she stopped answering. She only whimpered, so faint I feared she had slipped away. The world is shrinking. My thoughts are tangled. The space is crushing. Every direction meets unyielding stone or twisted metal. Delirium creeps in. Sometimes I think I can hear familiar sounds, a distant echo of her mother's voice. Sometimes I see flashes of light under my eyelids, but it is always black when I open my eyes. The silence presses into my ears. I wait for death. Suddenly Layla speaks. Her voice is not the broken, thirsty whisper I have heard for days. It is soft and bright, as if she has found comfort. She says something, a little laugh. I freeze. Did I just hear that? My mind is slipping. My daughter is delirious, her brain burning from dehydration. Layla, who are you talking to? She turns her small face toward me, skin cool now, not feverish, lips wet and shining. There is a happiness I thought impossible here. The man in white, Baba. He is here with us. My heart stumbles. I feel terror, a crawling dread in my chest. I reach out, fumbling in the tiny space, searching for anything that is not jagged concrete or broken furniture. I touch Layla's face. Her forehead is damp, cooler than before. Her lips are wet, not cracked. For a moment I taste water on her skin. Impossibly clean water. There is none here. Fear rises sharp in me. I press my hand against every surface, scraping skin against rebar and dust. The grave is unchanged. There is nothing here except us. Yet Layla is smiling, eyes open. I cannot see beyond the black, but I feel another presence. I'm shaking. Layla, is he here now? Where is he? Layla, who is this man? She whispers. He said not to be afraid. He said he would stay until we are safe. I scream into the darkness, voice hoarse and broken. Who is there? Show yourself. I am Omar, son of Hassan. I command you by the name of Allah, reveal yourself. No answer. Only Layla's even, peaceful breathing. My mind races. I think of every evil spirit, every jinn I have taught my daughter to fear. Is a jinn mocking us at the hour of our death? Is Allah testing me in the dust of my grave? Fear is stronger than faith, for a moment longer. I try to pray, but the words slip away, lost in the stone. The darkness does not respond. Only Layla, calm and comforted, whispers to the man I cannot see. My mouth is past thirst now. My tongue is swollen. My gums bleed. Every muscle aches. A cold numbness creeps from my feet to my chest, wrapping me in layers of agony and resignation. My mind wanders, lost between prayer and delirium. I know I am dying. My daughter's breath is steady, and I realize with terror that I am jealous of the life she so easily holds. Layla is singing. Her voice is clear enough to echo against the concrete and metal. I do not know the words. It is not Quran. It is not from the mosque, not songs her mother sang. She sings of green pastures, a shepherd, and someone who walks with her in the valley of death. I listen in disbelief. Her voice seems untouched by dust or pain. I hear her lips part and her skin is unbroken. She finishes the song and turns to me. I whisper, my voice thick. Layla, where did you learn that? What are you singing? She smiles soft and peaceful. He taught me, Baba. The man in white. He says he is the shepherd. He says he knows you. The words twist inside me raw. I try to argue, but no sound comes. I want to tell her to stop, to silence the forbidden words. Layla, you cannot say that. We are Muslim. We do not sing about shepherds, about him. You must stop. She ignores the rising panic in me. He says he died so we could live, Baba. He says he died for you too. I try to lift my arm to command her as I always have, but my body will not obey. Anger boils in what strength I have left. A fury at her innocence, at the thought of the Christian God invading this sacred suffering. My prayers are empty. I feel the words pile up against the concrete slab, going nowhere. My soul aches for an answer and finds none. I look at my daughter. In the black grave, she glows with a peace I cannot touch. She hums the melody again, unafraid, unburdened. I know she possesses something I do not. My pride breaks like a bone. I whisper through the pain, so quietly I fear she cannot hear. Layla, ask him. Ask him to help me too. The moment the words leave my mouth, the darkness shifts. For so long it has been absolute, a solid black wall pressing against my eyes. Now there is something else, a glow. At first I think I am hallucinating, that my brain is finally breaking under thirst and fear. But the black loosens, softens, and a faint golden light blooms in the suffocating space, gentle as dawn through fog. It hurts my eyes. I have lived in black for so long that even this tender light feels like fire. I squint, turning my head as much as the concrete will allow. The light is not coming from above, not from a crack in the ceiling, not from some rescuer's flashlight. It has no source. It is simply there, filling the pocket of air where my daughter and I lie buried, painting every shard of rubble with warm color. Layla's hand tightens around mine. Baba, she whispers. He is here. I force my eyes open wider. Shapes emerge from the blur. The jagged edge of broken furniture. The rough underside of the slab inches above my face. Dust hanging in the air like tiny stars. And then I see him. He's kneeling beside Layla, one hand gently holding hers. His clothing is white, but not the dull white of hospital sheets or plaster dust. It is living white, like sunlight on fresh snow, yet it does not glare. The light seems to come from him, wrap around him, and spill into every shadow. He turns his face toward me. His eyes are the first thing I truly see. They are dark like deep wells, but within them is a depth that makes me feel both completely seen and completely small. There is sorrow in them, a sorrow that is not only for me but for every broken thing, every collapsed building, every lost child. At the same time there is strength, a power so absolute it needs no display. Looking into those eyes, I know that if he spoke and told the mountain above us to move, it would obey. He looks at me as if he knows every prayer I have ever whispered, every judgment I have ever made, every curse I have spoken under my breath at the Christians in our streets. He looks at me as if none of this surprises him. Terror and awe collide in my chest. I cannot move, but now not because of concrete. I am pinned by that gaze. He reaches out his other hand and places it on my shoulder, exactly where the crushing weight presses hardest. His touch is warm. The instant his palm meets my body, the pain vanishes. Not eases, not lessens. Vanishes. The shattered fire in my back, the stabbing in my leg, the dull ache in my ribs all disappear in an instant. The grinding, suffocating pressure is gone, though the slab has not moved. It is as if the weight no longer applies to me. Then the thirst. For days it has ruled me, a brutal master. My tongue has been a stone in my mouth, my throat a wound. Now in a breath that too is washed away. A rush of coolness floods my chest, my throat, my mouth. It feels like drinking clear water from a mountain stream without swallowing a drop. Every cell in my body seems to swell with life. My head clears. The fog lifts. I inhale and the air is sweet for the first time since the building fell. Tears fill my eyes. I do not understand what is happening. I only know I'm no longer dying. He speaks. His voice is not loud, yet it fills the space, rich and steady. It is not in Turkish, not in Arabic, but the meaning flows straight into my mind, as if I have always known these words. I am the way, the truth, and the life. The words strike me with the force of another earthquake, but this one is inside me. Instantly I remember every sermon I have despised, every verse I have rejected, every time I have turned away when those words were quoted. I am a man who has devoted his life to one direction, one path, one idea of God. Here in the grave I built with my pride, another path has entered, not asking permission, only offering himself. He keeps his hand on my shoulder, steady, unhurried, as if time no longer has any hold on us. Layla squeezes his fingers with perfect trust. She looks at him the way she used to look at her mother when she was small and afraid of storms. I want to argue. I want to tell him that I know the truth, that I have the right prayers, the right direction, the right words. But my arguments are ashes in my mouth. I have prayed until my voice broke, facing a city that no longer exists above me. The answers did not come. And now, in this buried pocket of death, my daughter is alive in a way I'm not. Her face shines in the golden light. She's not afraid. The light around him begins to thin, not fading as much as withdrawing, like a tide going out. His gaze remains on me, unblinking, unwavering, as if giving me time to choose. My chest aches with something beyond pain, beyond thirst. I reach for one last question, but my lips only tremble. The sound of the earth intrudes. At first it is a faint vibration in the concrete, a distant trembling. Then it grows. A harsh mechanical roar shreds the quiet, cutting through stone and dust. The floor shivers. The slab above us rattles. The golden light and the grey dust swirl together. I hear voices, shouts, commands, metal against stone, the whine of drills chewing through debris, the ringing blows of tools striking concrete. The grave that has been closed and silent for days comes alive with noise. Somewhere above us, someone is digging. My heart races. His hand slips from my shoulder. Layla clings tighter to his other hand. "Do not be afraid," he says, the words pressing into the deepest part of me. The slab above us shifts with a grinding shriek. Dust rains down, but it does not choke me. A crack splits open, thin as a knife at first, then widening. A beam of white daylight spears into our tomb, so bright it is almost violent. It crashes into the golden glow until the two lights mingle, impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Men shout, "Here! There is someone here!" The crack grows wider. The drilling stops and the more delicate sounds begin. Hands clearing rubble. Stones being passed back. The slab lifts a few centimeters, then more, held by machines and human strength. The golden light is receding. He is standing now, still holding Layla's hand. As the harsh daylight pours in, his form becomes almost transparent to my eyes, like fog in the sun. His eyes never leave mine. I try to speak. "Do not go." My voice is strong again. Too strong for a man who has been dying. "Please." His answer settles over me without lips moving. "I am with you always." The slab jerks higher. A rectangle of raw, blinding sky opens above us. The golden light thins until it is only a memory on the edges of my vision. When I blink, all I see is daylight and dust. Layla's small hand is now held by rough human fingers reaching down through the hole. "Girl first!" Slowly, someone shouts. Arms slip under my daughter. She is lifted away from my chest. For the first time in days, I feel the full emptiness of my arms as she leaves them. She cries out once, not in fear, but in surprise at the sudden openness of the world above. Voices praise God as she emerges. Then hands reach for me. Strong hands. Human hands. They push broken concrete aside, wedge under my arms, brace my head. Pain does not return. My body feels light, as if whatever crushed it never truly owned it. They pull, and I rise through stone and dust into blinding sun. The sky is a vast, brilliant blue, too wide, too overwhelming. The air is cold and sharp in my lungs. People crowd around, helmets and uniforms, dust masks and tear-streaked faces. Someone covers my eyes with a cloth to shield them from the light. Someone else wraps a blanket around my shoulders. They talk to me, ask my name. But all I can think is one thing. I am alive. They loaded me onto a stretcher and carried me across the ruins toward a line of ambulances parked on what used to be a street. The air was sharp with diesel fuel and dust. Everywhere I looked, I saw devastation. Buildings reduced to hills of broken stone. Families searching through wreckage. Bodies covered with sheets. The scale of it was impossible to comprehend. My city was gone. Everything I knew had been erased in minutes. Inside the ambulance, a young doctor with exhausted eyes began checking my vital signs. He pressed a stethoscope to my chest, wrapped a cuff around my arm, shined a light into my pupils. He kept glancing at his instruments and then back at me with an expression I could not read. Another paramedic was tending to Layla on the bench across from me, doing the same examinations, asking her questions in a gentle voice. The doctor spoke to me. "How long were you trapped?" "I do not know exactly, 5 days, maybe 6. He frowned. "Did you have water? Any supplies?" "No, nothing." He checked the blood pressure cuff again, tapped the gauge as if it were malfunctioning. "That cannot be right." He looked at his colleague working with Layla. "What are her readings?" "Normal. Everything is normal. Blood pressure, heart rate, temperature. She is perfectly hydrated." "So is he." The doctor stared at me. "Sir, you were buried for almost a week without water or food. Your body should be in severe distress. You should be dehydrated, in shock, organ failure starting. But your vitals are perfect. Better than perfect. You are healthier than I am right now." I said nothing. What could I say that he would believe? He continued his examination, checking my back where the concrete slab had crushed me for days. "You said something was on top of you? A heavy beam or slab?" "Yes, across my back and legs. I could not move." He ran his hands along my spine, pressed gently. "Does this hurt?" "No." "Here?" "No." "Anywhere?" "No. Nothing hurts." He pulled back, clearly disturbed. "There should be bruising at minimum. Contusions. Possibly fractures. You were pinned under rubble for days and you have no injuries. Neither does your daughter." He shook his head slowly. "I have been pulling people from collapsed buildings for a week now. I have seen what happens to bodies trapped that long. This is not medically possible. The other paramedic spoke up, her voice quiet. "It is a miracle." The doctor shot her a look but did not argue. He finished his notes and wrapped a blanket more tightly around my shoulders. "We are taking you to the field hospital for further evaluation. You both need monitoring even if you appear stable." The ambulance lurched forward, navigating the broken streets. Through the small window I could see other survivors being carried past. A man with his leg twisted at an unnatural angle, screaming in pain. A woman covered in blood, unconscious. A child with a bandage wrapped around his head, eyes vacant with shock. They were broken. All of them were broken. And I was whole. I looked at Layla across from me. She was sitting up, alert, her eyes clear. The paramedic had given her a bottle of water and she drank it slowly, carefully, as if savoring every drop. When she finished, she looked at me and smiled. It was a small smile, tentative, but it carried something I'd never seen in her before. Peace. Complete, unshakable peace. "Baba," she whispered. "He kept his promise." The paramedic attending her looked confused. "Who kept his promise, sweetie?" Layla did not answer. She just kept looking at me, waiting for my response. I nodded. "Yes, he did." At the field hospital, they examined us again with more sophisticated equipment. Blood tests, X-rays, ultrasounds. The doctors conferred in hushed voices, pointing at screens and charts, unable to explain what they were seeing. A senior physician finally approached me. A woman with grey hair and kind eyes that had clearly witnessed too much suffering in recent days. "Mr. Haddad, I do not know how to explain this to you. By every medical standard, you and your daughter should not be alive. And yet, not only are you alive, you are completely healthy. No dehydration, no malnutrition, no tissue damage, no psychological shock. It defies everything we know about trauma and survival." I met her eyes. "Doctor, do you believe in miracles?" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I believe I cannot explain what I'm seeing with science alone." "Then perhaps that is your answer." She studied me for a long moment, then nodded slowly and moved on to the next patient. They kept us for observation for 2 days. During that time, I watched other survivors arrive, watched doctors fight to save lives, watched families reunited and families destroyed. The death toll climbed into the tens of thousands. The footage on the television screens showed city after city reduced to rubble. The earthquake had struck along a massive fault line. The destruction stretched across the entire region. It was one of the deadliest natural disasters in modern history. My sisters found us on the second day. They had been searching through every hospital and shelter, certain we were dead. When they saw us alive and unharmed, they wept. They asked me again and again how we had survived, how we had been pulled from such deep rubble, how we had lasted so long without water. I told them the truth. I told them about the darkness, the thirst, the moment I thought we would die. And I told them about the man in white who appeared to my daughter, about the light in the grave, about the touch that healed my body and gave us life. Fatima, my oldest sister, looked at me with alarm. "Omar, you are in shock, you are confused. It was the rescuers who saved you. You are just traumatized from what you endured." But I was not confused. For the first time in my life, I was seeing clearly. We lost everything in the earthquake. Our home was completely destroyed. My workplace, the hospital I had been building, collapsed. Many people I knew died, including friends, neighbors, colleagues. The imam from our mosque was killed. The city I loved was gone. In the span of a few terrible minutes, my entire world had been erased. But I did not lose everything. I gained something infinitely more valuable. In the temporary shelter where they housed us, someone had left a book. It was a Bible printed in Turkish, slightly worn but intact. I do not know who left it or why it was there, but I picked it up and I began to read. I read about a man who claimed to be the way, the truth, and the life. I read about a God who did not remain distant but came down into the rubble of this broken world to save those who were buried and dying. I read about a shepherd who leaves the 99 to search for the one lost sheep. I read about a father who runs to embrace the son who abandoned him. I read about love that pursues, that does not wait for us to be good enough or religious enough or pure enough, but comes to us in our graves and calls us out into life. I read late into the night while Layla slept beside me, and I wept. I wept for all the years I had spent building my own righteousness like I built my buildings, trying to make sure every prayer was perfect, every ritual correct, every law observed. I wept for the pride that had convinced me I had the truth and everyone else was wrong. I wept for the Christians I had despised, who had come to my city to serve and love while I stood apart in judgment. I wept because I realized that when I was buried alive, when all my prayers hit the ceiling of concrete and went nowhere, when I was truly lost and helpless and dying, it was not my devotion that saved me. It was grace. It was a hand reaching down into the darkness, not because I deserved it, but because he loved me. Layla and I read that Bible together now, every morning and every evening. She asks me questions and I answer them as best I can, though I am still learning, still discovering. We found a small group of believers who meet in a house not far from the shelter where we are staying. They welcomed us without question. They did not care that I was a Muslim who had spent his whole life opposing them. They simply embraced us and called us brother and sister. I have been told by some of my family that I have betrayed my faith, that I have dishonored my ancestors, that I am a traitor and an apostate. I understand their anger. I was once like them. But I cannot deny what I experienced. I cannot pretend that I did not see him, that he did not touch me, that he did not give me life when I was dead. Truth is not what we inherit or what is comfortable or what our culture demands. Truth is a person, and that person found me in a grave and pulled me into the light. I tell you this story today, whoever you are listening, because I want you to know something. You may feel buried right now. You may feel like your whole world has collapsed on top of you and there is no way out. You may be trapped in darkness, suffocating, losing hope. You may have prayed every prayer you know and heard only silence. You may believe that no one sees you. No one knows where you are. No one is coming. But I am here to tell you that there is one who sees every grave. There is one who enters the darkest places where no one else will go. There is one who reaches down through whatever weight is crushing you and takes your hand. His name is Jesus. He is not afraid of your darkness. He is not put off by your failure or your doubt or your past. He came to seek and save the lost. He came to give life to the dead. I am alive today not because of my religion or my righteousness. I am alive because of him. My daughter is alive because of him. And if you call out to him, if you ask him with a sincere heart to help you, he will answer. He promised that everyone who seeks will find. Everyone who knocks will have the door opened. He is faithful. He keeps his promises. The earthquake took my city, my home, my certainty about everything I thought I knew. But it gave me Jesus. And I would be buried 1,000 times over rather than live a single day without him. Do not wait for your world to collapse before you seek him. He is reaching toward you right now in this moment. All you have to do is take his hand.